Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to our Global Iftar 2021, which is brought to you by the Ramadan Tent Project. Now, Global Iftar is the world's largest virtual iftar. We're beginning in London and we're going to follow the sun across the globe to the US, Australia, India, Qatar, South Africa, Turkey, and then back to London again. So thank you so much for joining us today in London today in the UK. My name is Farah and I will be your host for this evening. We have an absolutely exciting event planned for this evening with Zara Mohammed. Now, Zara is the Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain. And before we get started, I would first like to thank our media partner for this year, Islam Channel, and give a special welcome to those joining us from Islam Channel's Facebook and YouTube. It's a pleasure to have you join us today. I'd also like to thank the Arts Council UK, and their help has allowed us to continue our work this Ramadan, all of which is available on our website. And our work this Ramadan is also supported by Islamic Relief, who is our charity partner. And you can check out the incredible work that Islamic Relief does at iruk.co/RTP. Our events are interactive. So for those who don't know, we would love everyone just to jump onto Zoom, whether you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube. If you can, jump onto the Zoom. And for those who are comfortable, turn your cameras on so we can see you. A quick run through of the tech. At the bottom of your screens or in the more section of your mobile, you're going to see a reactions option. So you can show us how you're feeling in real time. Now there's also a raise hand option as well if you want to ask our speaker a question or add to the discussion, and somebody will mute you. So without further ado, let's crack on. Welcome. I'm just going to say salam to Iman today. So Iman, it's lovely to have you join us today.
Assalamualaikum. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited for the Global Iftar event that we're going to be running for the next couple of hours. Not couple, 24. But yeah, I'm excited. How are you doing?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. It's been, my fast has actually gone by super fast today. So that's a good thing. What are you having for iftar today, Iman?
Ooh, so
I haven't had time to think about food so far, but what about you?
We're actually gonna attempt to make chana chaat.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah, I like to have it without the Bombay mix and the papad, but my sister prefers it with that, so we're gonna make two separate ones.
By papad, do you mean the crispy bits?
Yeah. I like it with yogurt, and she's like, yeah, yogurt's fine, but like the best part is the Bombay mix and the papadi on it. So I'm like, no.
You know what? I agree. I think the crispy bits are the best bits, and especially if you've got peanuts on. And I'd be actually intrigued to know who doesn't like crispy bits on their papri, on their chana chaat, because
only because it gets soggy. That's the thing. Like I just can't deal with it. So it either should be crispy all throughout, or it should just be like a dahi based something. I can't deal with. Yeah.
Do you put like a tamarind chutney on yours?
Yeah, for sure.
That
and
is
chaat masala. Yeah.
Oh wow, Iman, I'm actually feeling hungry. I've been doing some. Had such a busy few weeks with work, and I thought today I'm just going to step up a little bit. So I've been doing some baking afternoon.
Yeah.
So my family.
Yeah, treat yourself. Yeah.
Well, my family are definitely getting cupcakes today. So after I finish, I'm going to quickly.
Oh, there.
We're having pistachio and rosewood cupcakes today. So,
nice.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Hopefully it'll go well. So, I've got Rehan.
Yeah, not long to go.
I'm wondering what Rehan's options are, actually, opinions are even. Rehan, what are your opinions on chana chaat?
I don't know.
Without crispy bits.
I don't mind either way, to be honest.
Really?
I'm not really that fast. Yeah. Chaat is not really my. I mean, chaat's good, but it's not really my. It's not really what I think about when it comes to. I mean, my mum makes it, but I don't know. I'm neutral on it. Unfortunately.
No, you're disqualified. No.
That's it, Rob. We're not having you again. What are you having? But he does like fried samosas, Iman. So
Okay, then yeah, we'll give you some leeway there.
Yeah, no baked samosas.
No.
So I'm intrigued also in the chat. I'd love to know what everyone's having for their iftar today. And Rehan, what are you having for iftar today?
Well, actually, my aunt called me like right before I logged on. I think my mom's going to pick something up, so I guess I'll find out. I'll find out when I go downstairs.
iftar roulette.
Basically, yeah.
Same. I'm still debating. I've just seen somebody is calling from Uzbekistan. Nafisa, are we good to unmute Nafisa? Here what it's like in Uzbekistan. Oh, Assalamu alaikum Nafisa.
Yes. Assalamualaikum. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm well, very well. Thank you.
It's fantastic to have you on. Could you be a little bit louder? Is that okay?
Yes.
Oh, lovely. So how is it in Uzbekistan? How are you? How's your Ramadan?
Alhamdulillah, it's a very beautiful Ramadan is going on in here. Alhamdulillah, weather is perfect. Like everything is perfect. Alhamdulillah, and I'm so glad to join this community again. It was last time that I had joined Open Iftar for the first time, and this year it is the first time I have been ever attending it, and I'm getting so emotional, like remembering last year's memories, and I'm glad to see people here that I used to meet last year. Oh my God, it's amazing, mashallah.
Oh, Nafisa, it's so happy to have you and so glad to have your enthusiasm. It's just been a pleasure. It's so nice to hear like a smiley face as well. And
Yes.
how's your Ramadan been, Nafisa? And also, we'd love to hear what you are having for iftar today.
Okay, actually it is 11 and half past p.m. in Uzbekistan, so I already had my iftar. And actually today I had a iftar by myself. I decided to eat some burgers and Caesar salad because I was outside of the house. However, on the typical day we have like delicious Uzbek food, actually home cooking food. So far, this is the first time I have ever eaten outside from the beginning of the Ramadan.
That sounds absolutely delicious, though, still. And I'm pleased you actually managed to break your fast on time. And I think Uzbek food is also really interesting. One of my university friends is from Uzbekistan, so I learned a lot about the country. So it's an absolutely amazing country with such beautiful architecture as well. Just yeah, I would love to visit. All of us, we now want to, all of us uni friends, we now want to go to Uzbekistan.
Inshallah, I would love to, just host you, all of you, one day if you come. In addition, I'm a tourism student and I have a lot of friends who I actually invited from outside of the country, like foreign friends, and I really love to introduce my country as guide or making tours for them. So this is amazing. I would.
Oh, fantastic. Well, if your friend is there, do tell them to message us. We'd love to hear from your friend as well.
Sorry.
If your friend is about, do tell your friend to message us or jump on. So it would be nice to talk to your friend also.
Oh,
We look forward to hearing from everyone joining us from all the different parts of the world. We're really excited to, do the iftar this year, and it'd be great to get as many people on as possible from all around the world.
yeah. My friend is not here though today. Inshallah, next time.
Inshallah, next time. Thank you so much, Nafisa. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today.
Yes, the same here.
See you. Assalamu alaikum. And Zara, I'm just going to move on to our guest, Zara Mohammed. So, Zara,
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you and how's your Ramadan been?
Alhamdulillah, it's been good. It's been very fast. But I think with any time that we experience Ramadan, there's always a tranquility, there's always this comfort and this opportunity. So I always think that it passes you by, but you're always trying to hold on to it so you can just grab it a little bit longer. So no, mashallah, it's been very blessed and of course a wonderful time to reconnect.
I would absolutely agree with you. This year has absolutely, for me, it's flown by. Last year was so much more slow paced in the lockdown, which was, I guess, a blessing of lockdown. And this year, as we head towards a degree of normality, I know mine's absolutely flown by. And before we hear from your talk, which you're really excited about today, what are you having for iftar today?
So we're gonna have some roast chicken with some potatoes and. Trying to avoid fried food, but who knows? Who knows what will happen by that hour of the day? So my husband and I have said we're going to do like no fried food, but it's been a difficult journey, arduous.
That is actually really brave. I mean, we have a lot less than we used to. When her family used to join us for iftar, and then obviously we'd have the pakoras and everything. But yeah, this year we've definitely been a lot more healthy. And for those who don't know, as I said before to everybody before, Zara is the Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain. Zara Mohammed is the first woman to hold that post, and she's going to be speaking to us about her role and leadership. And yeah, we're really, really excited to hear from you, Zara. So if you're ready, over to you.
No, thank you so much. Well, I'd first like to thank Ramadan Tent Project for this wonderful invitation. It's a project that, I mean, a campaign, a community initiative, you know, I think it's something that's really changed a lot of lives and added a lot of impact in that taking the spirit of Ramadan just beyond even the month, because I know you do iftars all throughout the year, but it's that spirit of community that I think, you know, is inspiring for so many. So even when I was in my university days, you know, if you could get to one of these RTP iftars in London, you know, outside, and you know, it would be completely a blessing in and of itself. So thank you so much for the invitation. I should begin by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and Assalamu alaikum everybody. And I think today I just wanted to reflect on, I guess, some of my lessons in leadership, but also, you know, looking now at the last 10 days of Ramadan, you know, what is it that we have remaining, and what is it that we need to seize, and how do we make the best of this time? And you know, being now in my third month of term, as a first, and any first faces a lot of challenges, there's always a lot of things to reflect on. And I think that's why I've been quite blessed that Ramadan has come when it's come, because it's allowed me to actually think about, you know, my own journey so far and what are the things that I feel I need to work on or develop. And so the first thing I was thinking about is, you know, Ramadan makes us think about sacrifice. We stop eating and, you know, hopefully doing other bad things. You know, we're a bit nicer. We're generally trying to be a little bit more polite, you know, restrained. There's a lot of restraint. And I always think that, you know, when you're in a role of leadership, any kind of leadership, any position of influence or responsibility, there's always that temptation to not be so restrained, you know, to say exactly what you think and how you feel and to get worked up. And I think one of the beautiful things about Ramadan is that discipline of the soul, that restraint, and that idea that actually a lot of our life we live in haste. So perhaps this is a good time to slow down and to really reflect on what is the impact of our leadership style and approach. What is the difference we're actually making? And in this blessed time where we're a little bit more restrained, we're a little bit more cautious, what can we learn to apply in our daily routine? And you know, it's sometimes, I mean, even in Ramadan, I've been back to back on Zoom meetings. And the great thing about iftar time is everyone has to stop and everyone has to give you some space, and everybody has to, you know, just actually, this is my time between me and Allah. So I'm just going to take that time and to, of course, open my fast. And so I think there's the idea that in your day, there has to be some balance. In your life, there has to be some harmony, and there has to be some discipline. And that kind of takes me to my next lesson, which is the opportunity for goodness. I think in, you know, being the Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain, and for maybe those of you who aren't aware, we're the largest and most broad and diverse umbrella body in the UK. So we represent Muslim organisations, around 500 of them, from mosques, madrasas, professional organisations, women's networks, disabled, you know, so it's a really vast network. And when I was elected to this role, alhamdulillah, I just thought, wow, you know, Allah has opened a door for good for me. So I have to take it and I have to seize that opportunity and do the best that I can. And so what does that mean for me? And being the first woman, I always think, well, I'm not going to be the last. So absolutely, I've got to bring more women with me. I've got to bring young people to the conversation and to the table. Because what I always think is, as a young leader, you know, I'm making decisions that are going to impact the future. So I'm going to make them with the future in mind. And so, you know, let's get more young people involved. Let's get more women involved. And let's think about our diversity. You know, we're such a diverse community. So we've got to bring that to the forefront. So, you know, in my role and my message, I guess, to everybody is think about the opportunity to do good in big ways and in small ways, because that's what Ramadan tells us. Like every minute of your day you have an opportunity to do good. That's simply by being nice to a person, by feeding, your loved ones, a bit of cleaning, a bit of cooking, a bit of Quran. I mean, just imagine that Allah has given us a full day of blessing. And I always think, oh my gosh, did I make the most of it, and it is obviously, we are still in unusual circumstances with the pandemic, and many people are going through really challenging times right now: bereavement, loss, the economic impact, the mental health issues. And so just think about that, the good that you could do in this difficult time. What a blessing it is to be in this Ramadan compared to so many who won't be able to enjoy it with their loved ones, who may not be here with us, but also who may still be isolated at this time, maybe shielding, maybe in hospital. So I think there is so much scope here for us to do a little bit of kindness that inshallah we should definitely to seize that opportunity. And then the next thing I always think about, in this blessed month of Ramadan, and my first Ramadan as Secretary General, is I always think about the concept of humility, and I always say to Allah, my mom's probably really good at this, as high as I may go in terms of position and authority, please keep my heart humble and remind me that you are the ultimate creator, you're the ultimate power, so it's not me, I'm just one person who's been blessed with a position and with some power as such, but really it's all down to you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's up to you how good I'm going to do, just help me along. And so I think realizing that when we put our forehead to that prayer mat, that little moment is that the most humble we can ever be in our existence, that act of worship. And I think you have to embody that in your whole day. And as a leader, you absolutely have to embody that, because you're always, it's easy to forget, in the rigmarole of the day. And in my day, I will do interviews, I'll do parliamentary meetings, I'll do high stakeholder meetings, I'll do so many different things in which I have a vast amount of responsibility. And I have to check myself. I have to think, okay, am I really, have I been the best that I could be? Is my character the best that it could be? And I think that's where Ramadan is amazing, because it gives us that wake up call to really reflect on our behaviors and our actions, and to think about, in all honesty, where we're really at and where we need to go, where we need to be at, who we are and who we wish to become. And I think these are really important in terms of, maybe just to give a very small example, I have many friends and they say, so I get really frustrated at work. Some of my colleagues just wind me up, and I am sorry, but it's really hard to restrain. And I'm thinking, oh well, I don't know if I can speak here, and it's those little moments where, and then, and one of my friends said, what I realized is actually that person had some other things going on that day, hence their behavior was a little bit out of the norm. So my point being is that sometimes we're all going through things, and sometimes our experiences with one another can be unpleasant, because each of us are coming from different places, and we're in the moment, we're in the emotion, and we're flustered, right? We're not really thinking about, why is this person communicating the way they're communicating? Is there something else that's at play here? As opposed to just, I'm going to respond and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. Or, so I think it's these little moments in our everyday. They're small moments, but they actually could ruin someone's day. They could ruin your own day. And in some ways, they could take away from your goodness and your good deeds. So I think it's so integral for all of us to really think about, how are we coming across in our communication? And are we humble? Do we need a little humility? And a top tip from me, and something that a wonderful scholar advised to me, was this is a time where you want to do good, where what the right hand gives and the left hand doesn't see, right? So we need to be in the habit of giving good deeds that nobody can see, personal good deeds. They're private good deeds, sorry. So these are the deeds that nobody can see, and be in the habit of apologizing and making amends, especially if you've upset someone, and use Ramadan for that occasion. And I tell you what, an apology goes a long way. Most of the time, that's what people are really looking for. And my final message, I'm not sure how long I've got, but I'll maybe just end with this one, and then we could do some Q&A if you like. is really just thinking about the impact that you want to make after the month. Okay, so absolutely all of us in this Ramadan mode are going to be thinking, oh my God, nearly 10 days, going to seize Laylatul Qadr, odd nights, got to give, got to pray. And we know the routine, right? We know the drill. We're going to go all in. But then Ramadan ends, and who have we become? What will we do? What will change? And what is the impact that we will leave? What is the impact that we will make? And I think that's the question we've got to ask ourselves every day before this month ends. Because until we are ready to face the world post Ramadan, we'll end up just coming out with the usual habits, doing the usual things, and nothing will have really changed. And that's why Allah blesses us with this month once a year, just to get back on track. But and to conclude, with myself, I think about being the Secretary General of the Muslim Council Britain. I think about that opportunity of good, and I think about the impact. And people say to me, Zara, so you're going to do your 2 years. What's the impact going to be? What are you going to be happy with when you finish? And I say, if I could just leave this work, if I could develop some leaders that will continue doing the work that I'm doing, if I could do a little bit of good for a lot of people, inshallah, if I could just make sure that I develop the next generation of people that were inspired, that felt confident, that we as Muslims could share in the beauty of our religion, I mean, I would be very happy with that, whatever good that Allah could accept. So thank you so much, inshallah. That's everything for me, and I look forward to a little bit of conversations, and I pray Allah accepts our fast and grants us goodness and success. Ameen.
Ameen. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was just really, really wonderful. So many interesting points there. And I absolutely agree. We do need balance and harmony and taking the opportunity to do good, and continue that throughout the year after Ramadan as well. And you're absolutely right. Ramadan's an absolutely fantastic opportunity to create that in us or reinvigorate that in us, because the last year has been challenging for everyone globally, and lots of people have had challenges in their personal lives and their family lives and their work lives, and the impact of COVID-19 sadly has been widespread. But if we can still hold on to those qualities and do good, spread a smile. My father always says a smile is free.
Yeah, my dad says that too. Kindness is free, Zara. It doesn't cost anything.
Exactly. My dad definitely says think along the same lines, and it's true. Kindness, a smile go a really, really long way. And you've touched on so many interesting points, and I'd just like to, first of all, before, I've got several questions for you, but it'll be really, really great to hear from everyone who's joining us. If you have any questions and you're tuning in from YouTube or Facebook, just jump on the Zoom. And for those who are on the Zoom, we would love to hear your comments and any questions as well for Zara. So the Muslim Council of Britain has, I was reading, has 500 affiliates. What challenges have you faced in the role?
So I think there's been several challenges. I think my first week of election was something I couldn't have quite imagined. I got global attention, and I was doing like 9 interviews a day. There was like media hysteria. Everybody wanted a piece, and I think it just got to a point where although mashallah, most of it was very positive, some of it was very kind of critical and like, are they even going to let you lead? Can you lead? Can a Muslim women lead? So there was all this kind of like, oh, well, really, are they really going to put her in charge? And that kind of was demoralizing. And I think it kind of made me wake up to the fact how Muslim women are still, really stereotyped. There's so many of these prejudices and tropes around us. But anyway, after that, it only made me stronger, because I realized that, I'd be happy to smash some of these stereotypes and to continue to do the good work. I think, being a woman leader and being a young person, I would probably say being a young person is maybe the bigger challenge, because a lot of people don't, I don't want to say they don't take you seriously, but I think they don't know what to expect, because like I'm 29 and I'm running this really big organization, and, I'm high energy. So, so yeah, I think, but I think the biggest challenge, in all honesty, is the one inside. I always say to people, I used to suffer from imposter syndrome, and I think we all do to some extent. And it's that little niggling self-doubt, you know. And I think in this role, you have to be confident about your decisions. You know, you don't want to regret anything, and you want to do things in the best way you can. But hey, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. So I think the biggest challenge is always the one inside of you. But alhamdulillah, it's been a really inspiring journey. It's been a big adventure. It's been a lot of learning on the job. But I must say, you know, it's a blessing, and I just hope that, you know, my first couple of weeks, I co-opted 8 women onto my national council. So, you know, things like that just make me really excited to continue the work.
Oh, wow. Well, that actually leads on really nicely to my next question. Because I was reading also that you advise companies on training and development, and you have spoken about imposter syndrome. How can you encourage women to overcome those obstacles and rise to positions of leadership?
Yeah, it's a really important question. And you know, I think I faced the same thing with my own leadership journey as well, because, you know, you're constantly, I don't know, the voice inside of my head was that, you know, is there someone better? Are you really the right person for the role? Maybe there's someone else. There's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of self-doubt and a lot of self-criticism. And I think what I found is that there's a couple of things that are really important that you've got to do, right? Obviously, the first one people say is believe in yourself, but that's so hard. So the second one I would say is surround yourself by people that are really vested in you. You know, surround yourself by good friends, good companions. The Prophet, peace be upon him, he said, you know, you are on the religion of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So look at your WhatsApp chat and think of the 5 people that you WhatsApp the most, you know, the people that you're constantly influenced by. And if they're not a positive force of good, if they're not encouraging you, and if they're not pushing you, you might want to get a few new ones into that list. And because what you need is people that drive you forward. I couldn't have taken the steps that I took without that encouragement. Like, Zara, you got this, you can do it, you know, why not? As well as that honest reality check, you know, the people that will give you a bit of humble pie and just let you know, like, no, that was not good. So you need to be surrounded by good people, you know, whoever your support network is, really tap into that. And then the third thing I would say is you need to push out of that comfort zone 1 inch at a time. Okay. So don't, I mean, a lot of people say to me, Zara, oh, you do a lot of public speaking. How do you do it? And I said, I put myself in some really scary public speaking situations. You know, at university, I was a first year student and I did an announcement to 500 of my fellow classmates, and it was not planned. I was completely like, oh my God, what is happening? But it gave me a real taste of public speaking, and, you know, they all clapped. And so what I would say is you may not want to go for that approach, but what I would say is, like, you've got to push yourself every day a little bit out of your comfort zone. You know, whether it's applying for a job you wouldn't apply for, whether it's making, you know, reaching out to that person on LinkedIn, just send them something, or writing or blogging or drawing or whatever it is, you know, go out there and seize it, because if you sit, nothing is going to change. The world will change, but you will still be the same. And so you really need to kind of brace yourself. And I think for women, you know, it's important for you to actually like who you are. That's really important. You know, if you don't like who you are, if you don't believe in yourself, it'll be hard for others to do so. But I think all of these things take time. You're not going to do it overnight. And, you know, inshallah, just keep making dua to Allah to give you a helping hand.
That's very true, and it is important to seize the day, to be confident in yourself, and yeah, you've got to have the right people behind you. It makes such a big difference. And Iman, I'm just going to hand over to Iman, who has an absolute. Sarah agrees, so before we move on to Iman, yeah, Sarah says, you know, I agree about pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. It's not always easy though, and faith really helps. Absolutely, Sarah. And Iman, over to you, because I understand you have a question for Zara as well.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. I really enjoyed listening to you speak. It's really inspiring seeing, you know, some representation as women in these leadership positions. So I'm just curious, because you mentioned that, you know, you want to smash all these stereotypes, but sometimes I feel within our own communities, we have stereotypes in place for like women. So just wondering, did you deal with any of those kinds of stereotypes, or, you know, did you successfully smash them all, or, you know? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just
well,
curious, like
no,
what kinds did you even like face?
absolutely. No, I mean, I think even before I decided to run, I did think, is this something that's possible, you know? And I was on the leadership team before, and I was kind of one of these kind of hardworking in the background. I was involved in lots of different things. And I guess I kind of showed everybody what I could do, especially in this last year with the pandemic. I, was involved in the internal, the external, and represent. So I was doing so many things. And when the election came and I was having those conversations, what was so inspiring for me was that, the feedback I got from our members, mainly men, was that, Zara, we see what you've done, you see your hard work, we like your vision, we like what you've done, and we feel like you're going in the right direction. And the thing people forget is that, like, mashallah, like now I'm third generation, a lot of I guess if we're talking about men in specific, but there's a lot of daughters, granddaughters, nieces, sisters, that I seem to represent for a lot of people in our communities, and they want their young females to have role models. They want them to be involved in community work, so I found that there was definitely an opportunity that I could support, this generation of women that needed that support. But I think the stereotypes are always going to be there. They're all kinds, their gender, their ethnicity, their background, their sectarian, and every community has these. But I think for us, what's really important is how do we find ways to bring people together? And I know people say that's a bit cliche, but I don't want to impose myself on anyone. I want to find a way that I can work with people, and it may start with a comfortable place. So what I say is, look, I'm not a women leader. I'm just a leader. I represent a broad diversity of people. But because I'm a woman, I can then do a little bit more, right? So I don't kind of push that whole, well, it's got to be my way or the highway. I work with people and try and find that commonality. So I think what I would say is don't be put down. Don't feel disheartened by the challenge, because if we don't take those steps, who is going to? And if we're not willing to take some of that criticism, then what's really going to change? And inshallah, with all change, it's going to take time. I don't think everybody's my fan, but if they want to be, I'll welcome that too. I'll do my best.
Yeah, that's great, because sometimes you don't expect your own communities to be the people that are the biggest hurdle for you getting to a specific point, or like trying to achieve something. So yeah, it's just I thought it was really interesting hearing it from someone that's actually there on the front line, like you, in a leadership position. And yeah, I think you're doing great stuff. So inshallah, like you achieve everything you set out to do.
Inshallah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Iman. And Zara, you probably heard this other dad quote as well, that not everyone is going to like you, and not everyone is going to like the same things as you. As long as you're happy with who you are, you often have conversations here in my house with between siblings, and we've always been brought up, oh, I don't like this, or you don't like this, or whatever, just with each other when you're joking. My dad's like, as long as you're happy, that's the most important thing. And I think that's so important as well. And that actually, Iman's question and your response brings us really nicely to the next question as well, because obviously the Muslim Council of Britain, they do unite a great number of people who hold a diverse interpretation of Islam. So how can, based on the work that you do in bringing different interpretations of people with different interpretations of Islam together, what can be done on a community level to improve community cohesion, so that people see each other as Muslims without attaching a prefix or a suffix to it?
Yeah, no, it's a really important point, and it is part of our work, which is how do we bring, and that's why it's great to be a diverse umbrella and non-sectarian, non-partisan. We bring together a lot of people, and the reason we do it is because at the heart of it all is we as British Muslims, or Muslims in Britain, we're seeking to have fairness, justice, equality, all these kinds of things. And I think we can come together on the things that we do agree on. So we don't need to be unified in everything that we do, but we can unite. Like, for example, Islamophobia affects all of us, even affects some people that aren't Muslims, because they look like they're Muslims. So these are big issues. So the way we do it is we unite on the points that are common. And the other thing is, like, Visit My Mosque project. That's one of our flagship projects where we invite local communities to visit the mosque. Everybody takes part, and it's a wonderful kind of occasion in which we showcase the best of our communities. I think throughout this pandemic as well, we've seen the role that Muslims have played, from the front line, key workers, the most actually heavily impacted disproportionately in death. And I think cohesion really begins first with the mindset that we're willing. I think there's got to be a willingness at the start, but then I think it's about the goal. So if we want to see a better society in which young people get all the opportunities they deserve and they don't face those barriers because of their name, because they wear a hijab, then absolutely, haven't we got to do something together? We know about institutional racism and the impact that's had. And then we think about other things simply, which is Islam is so beautiful, isn't it, meant to be shared in a positive way? So we do have a responsibility as Muslims to share our religion in the best way. And I think it's always a tricky balance with these things, because some people are like, well, cohesion will only work if you do it my way. So you're always going to get that. But I think there are definitely more things now that we have to work on together for the future of British Muslims, for our common future. What about the environment and sustainability? That's a huge issue right now. Climate change. What about the refugee crisis? There are things even beyond the theological that we have to play a role in. And I think these are the conversations we need to have, for us to change things.
Zara, I literally think you are reading my mind today, because the next question in my list is, so also we've got some questions from Rehan, is how as Muslims can we be more sustainable in our daily life?
Oh, lovely.
That's so important, and that's a topic that's very important for me. But yeah, over to you.
Well, absolutely. I'm really passionate about this area as well. I think that, more environmentalism is needed. Absolutely. I mean, it was great. I believe it was 2 years ago when mosques started to ban single-use plastics and starting to have kind of that, those water bottles. And so I think the starting place of all of this is first recognizing we all have a responsibility, that Islam even teaches us we've got to take care of the earth. We are caretakers in that regard, and we've got to be part of that bigger picture. I think, in Ramadan, waste, unfortunately, still is, it's big. We do waste a lot in this month, although we don't get to eat too much because there isn't that much time. But, portion control could sometimes get ahead of us. I would say that Muslims generally, I think, have been are on the right track with this, because more of us are coming out, with eco iftar, sustainability, banning single-use plastics. But I think generally, whatever small good you can do, whether it's the recycling or, food waste, plants and growing your own vegetables or recycling your clothes. I mean, the list is endless, but I think we've all got a role to play in this conversation. And imagine us being, the standard bearers for what is excellent, that I think would be so powerful for us to show leadership in. So I think absolutely, I mean, this is an area where you probably have loads of good advice in terms of what can be done. But I think ultimately we have to take responsibility. We have to take some ownership of this, and we can't just be like, oh, well, it's too big an issue. Well, what's it got to do with me? Absolutely, it's got everything to do with you, okay? But I'm going to check myself first before I get too high and mighty here, because I'm sure I could do better. So I don't want anyone doing an expose on the Secretary Generals. I do recycle, though, just to let everybody know.
You might have somebody going through your recycling bin, right?
Yeah, I know. I better watch out. So no, yeah, it's really important, inshallah. We should do more.
And I absolutely agree with you. It's about doing more, and also recognizing that, there's so much more we can do, but to recognize that what we are doing, it's still a step forward in the right direction, because, we've been blessed with one planet, and it's so important to care for our planet as well. And I'm going to pop on Rehan now, who's who's also put a great comment as well. He said we put great emphasis on recycling in Ramadan tent and in the in-person iftars. Absolutely. We recycle everything.
Excellent.
Rehan, over to you. You have a question for Zara, I understand.
Yeah. So what has, you've already mentioned quite a few, but what's been the biggest challenge for the MCP during the pandemic? Probably a kind of a generic question, but probably an important one.
No, it's good. There's a lot to cover on that one. I guess I can kind of talk about, I mean, maybe a couple of areas. So obviously, because at the start of the pandemic, it literally was a crisis, so we had to work, I guess, 24/7 to get, because there's a lot of panic and there was a big need for community reassurance. And we're an umbrella organization. So what was really great was we provided a national platform for not just our members, but beyond, our non-members too. So we had a working group on bereavement and burial. There was a whole scare around cremation. So we did a webinar where like over 1,000 people joined. What is happening? Are we going to get cremated? There was a whole need for governance in mosques, health and safety, risk assessments. There was a lot on the charity sector, which was hit really hard, bringing together our charitable partners. Hajj and Umrah was affected. So I think we had to, mental health was another area. So we kind of formed these COVID response groups, and they covered the different areas. And I think the challenge was keeping a pace with the rate of change. And then the other part of it, which was the well-being piece. I think a lot of people forget about this, because although we were working so hard and our staff was working so hard, we kind of forgot we had to take care of ourselves, and that, some of our own staff got COVID, or family members, was bereavement. And I think sometimes in the bid to try and save the world, you forget to take care of yourself and remember the little things. And I think what COVID has taught us and what crisis teaches us is that, mashallah, there's so much generosity. Communities come together. Faith was like a fourth frontline service. We needed, mosques went digital. They continued to provide. There was that chaplaincy and support. So I think the community really stepped up. We had to step up in a big way too. But I think the key thing is that, sometimes you run really fast and you need to slow down, because otherwise you're going to burn out. And I think, after because we had then Ramadan at home and then Eid at home, and there was just a lot going on. I think in this kind of now, the start of this year, maybe things, we were able to just kind of gather our thoughts again and think about, okay, well, can we do this a bit differently, and where are we at, and what do we need? So I think the pandemic certainly challenged us, and everybody was remote, so everyone had to get used to that as well. And I mean, personally, I quite enjoyed that, because that worked out great for me. Less traveling, less time on the train. But I think for a lot of people, it's that isolation and loneliness, especially, when we were having some of like Ramadan, some of the most social occasions of the year, and we can't go visit, our family members. So I think there's different levels of challenge, but probably the toughest was the personal, in a bid to deliver. So yeah, I mean, it's taught us a lot. And I think moving forward, there's so much to do, especially with recovery as well.
Thank you so much. And mental health, again, really, really important topic that you've touched on. We have about 5 minutes left until Maghrib Adhan in London. I don't know what time, is it around the same time for you?
No, it's kind of like 9:03 or something. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be more time for prayer and reflection and all those lovely things. So
oh, fantastic. Well, we'll make use of those 5 minutes, because we've got final thanks as well, but we can always do that after Adhan and just getting maybe another question as well. So you've spoken, I said, about mental health and accessibility. How can we make the post-pandemic, how can we make the Islamic faith more accessible in terms of equity of access as well? Because like you said, services have been restricted for Muslims across the country. So what can we do to make things more equitable and easier to access post-pandemic, especially as we know talk about women and prayer spaces? So be quite intrigued to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think obviously, the pandemic has made, the situation quite different, going into mosques, the layout to the PPE required, so there's a complete change as to what that experience looks like. But I think one thing I've been really happy about is accessibility, particularly with the online, because it's even like with, you're far away or disabled, or there's lots of people in remote places in the UK that don't have big Muslim communities. So I think equity of access is really important for those individuals too, which is just being able to listen to the Friday sermon if you cannot get to the mosque, or listen to 5 of them, at your leisure. For madrasa classes, I know for a lot of kids, doing it online was brilliant as opposed to going in. And some of the elderly community as well. So I think, but definitely with women, with disability, with all these different key stakeholders for mosque communities, absolutely, we always make it, a part of our guidance, a part of our webinars to say, look, we need to make sure that access is available. We're absolutely the conditions allow for it, the space allows for it, and with all of the different regulations in place, but we should always strive for that equity of access, absolutely, and do our best, because it is a challenging time, and definitely things are difficult, and different masjids have different kinds of access and accommodation. And credit to mosques at this time as well, they've had to deal with an unbelievable amount of pressure, especially with the bereavement and loss, nikahs, marriages, ceremonies, and all the usual services. And also most people won't appreciate that at this time mosques don't get their normal Jummah collections, so some of them have really struggled in paying the bills. But certainly we'll continue to push for equity of access for all, and supporting mosques where needed to get that in place. And like I always like to think that it's got to be partnership, and we've got to work together. But certainly with the women at the helm, I think it's going to be it's a no-brainer from my side.
Oh, absolutely. I've had a fantastic comment from Sarah here. Sarah could listen to you all night. You make such interesting comments about a wide range of topics. Zara, it's just absolute pleasure. I'm conscious of the time. We have a couple of minutes before we move to Advan. Do you have any final remarks? I've really enjoyed today's conversation. You've been an absolute pleasure to host, thinking on the same lines, so really loving it.
Oh no, thank you so much. I mean, I guess first of all, just thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you all today and go on. I'm glad, alhamdulillah, it has been a benefit. I guess my final message is that that this Ramadan Tent Project is just such a wonderful initiative, and I think you bring a lot of different people together. You give that space for contemplation and reflection, and you give that opportunity for good, and I'm really grateful to be part of that, especially with the global iftar, so good luck with that. What I would say is that for anybody who's maybe going through a bit of difficulty, a bit of challenge, a little bit of introspection, a lot of people at this time are thinking about a change in pace of life and a change in direction. I know a lot of people that are doing a change of career, or they want to be self-employed, they want to work differently. I feel like we're at this, the pandemic has created this opportunity for us to choose a different way. And what I would say to people is to find that little bit of courage inside, to be brave and to go for it. Because, what we've seen is that actually, just like that, Allah can say, no, we're going to do everything completely different. You're going to have to unlearn your ways. And you're going to have to find that, what, you're not going to be able to go out. You're not going to be able to do work like you are. You're not going on holiday this year, The moral of the story being is that if we truly have faith, then anything is possible. And so put your faith in Allah and aim high and go and make that change. I'm sure you'll do even better than me. I'll do my bit. You better do yours. And we'll just make dua that Allah will grant us success, keep us humble, give us the opportunity to be amongst those He loves the most. And of course, to be of service to all of humanity, inshallah. So thank you so much from everybody at the MCB. Have a blessed Ramadan and hopefully a good Eid, inshallah, when it comes.
Thank you so much, Sarah. We're going to go to Azan now, then we'll do a final thanks. So if you could hold on for us to do another thank you to you, that would be fantastic. And we should go over to Azan now.
اللهم إني لك صمت وبك آمنت وعلى رزقك أفطرت ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
I'd like to say a big thank you once again to today's speaker, Zara Mohammed, the first female Muslim Secretary General for the Muslim Council of Britain. Zara, it's been a pleasure, so engaging, so inspiring. Thank you for discussing such a wide range of topics with us in such a short period of time. And I just want to say before we end, for now, a big thank you to Islam Channel, who is our media partner this year, and also to the Arts Council UK for making this event possible. You can read more about how we're fighting world hunger with Islamic relief at iruk.co/RTP. Ramadan is a month of giving, and we want to encourage you to support Ramadan 10 and help us to continue our work. Your support is vital to keeping us going as the world transitions back to normality. And by helping us continue with events like this one, bringing people together from around the world, and as well as our open iftars, our sunnah fasts and our other projects, you can check out the link in the chat box. Any amount you give will be appreciated, and it's very beneficial, inshallah. You can donate online to launchgood.com/RTP 2021. And we're continuing our global iftar this tonight and throughout the night. Click on the link, join us, get involved, and we're going to keep going. So as many of you as can join us, we would absolutely love it. So thank you so much. And for now, Assalamu alaikum for me. Thank you once again, Zara, and thank you everybody today for joining us, and we'll see you all shortly.